Hey guys, Philip with Trade Genius. How you guys doing? On this video, I wanted to talk about Ripple. Ripple has just been on an absolute tear from the lows of the recent bear market. It's up 343% today. So I wanted to talk about a couple reasons behind this move and also some technical areas to look at for resistance and support. Maybe give you guys some ideas on how to trade this if you aren't in it already, or if you're holding and what you could expect as far as price action. Before we get into that though, real quickly, I don't usually show you guys this stuff, but if you look at our specials on our site, and I'm just bringing this up because they're ending tomorrow night, we've just slashed everything 50%. A lot of people are liking this one here. It gets you into the room, and our signals, typically daily, we'll put out buy levels on some of the various cryptos. And also too, if you want our money machine software, which we show from time to time on the charts, and those things can signal some really great runs. Also, again, that would be this package here. So, and we have other flavors and bundles depending if you want some training packages thrown in there if you're new to crypto. So just wanted to throw that out there, guys. Half off till tomorrow night. That holiday special ends. All right, so let's talk about Ripple. Ripple is been ripping, and so a couple of things happen. One is there's been some exposure on the institutional side. There's a hedge fund that's going to be opening for Ripple. That isn't the most recent news. I think what's really kind of sparked momentum is that it's been listed now on the Bloomberg terminal. Now, if you're not familiar with what the Bloomberg terminal is, this is what all the hedge fund guys use. It's the terminal that basically is the trading interface. Sometimes you'll see, if you go to Bloomberg TV, sometimes they'll show screenshots of the terminal. And, Bitcoin was listed on it. Now we've got XRP listed on it. And so you've also got more institutional support for XRP. Now, a lot of people philosophically are kind of against XRP because they consider it like a banker's coin. But, if there's opportunities to trade in it and it's going to go up, that's something you have to decide for yourself, but there is opportunity there. There is a lot of support for Ripple. I believe it might be one of those coins too that gets eventually listed to Coinbase. So you're looking at basically, you want to be exposed to coins that have a low barrier to entry. So what's on the most popular exchange, like Coinbase, and what has the exposure. So if anytime something gets listed on a Bloomberg terminal, that's going to get it in front of a lot more people. Cryptocurrency right now is still in its infancy. It is gaining more adoption, so we're kind of out of the innovator stage into the early adopter stage, and then probably sometime next year we'll move into more of the mainstream stage into 2019. So technical levels to look at on Ripple. So here's kind of like our parabolic curve, and we're starting to run up against that. And when you start doing that, that's where you start looking for overshoots or overthrows or blow off tops. And ever since we've gotten into this run up, we've seen where we've gotten a lot more volume compared to the rest. It's been really quiet down in here, a little bump here, but for the most part really quiet. Now all of a sudden we've got a shift in the behavior of the volume. So that's driving us up. This area here, and we can go to a larger time frame. We could even go to a daily. Ignore that line because it's scaled off the smaller time frame. This kind of basically looks at the large areas, what I call fib bear zones. Okay, so we had a big run up along with a lot of other alts in April, and so XRP had just a huge run. This run here was, we can measure it real quick. That's a 5,037% run. So is Ripple capable of moving? Yeah, heck yeah. So basically now what we're looking at is, okay, big picture, what are we looking at? So we have this resistance zone here. The reason why this resistance zone here is, I think, relevant is because in this time, and this was right about back in here, there had been some rumors circulating about Ripple either getting added to Coinbase or some deal with American Express, I believe it was. And so I think and then we did see a little pop, but that got immediately rejected. Also in this time, you have to think this was the era of pre-fork. So people were getting out of alt positions, getting into Bitcoin because they weren't sure what was going to happen if the network was going to fork. They wanted to make sure that they would get their coins on each network, but to do that, you had to have your Bitcoin in your possession on a wallet that was going to support the fork, and so you wanted to be consolidated against that, just so that you'd have allocation on both chains, and then you'd be covered depending on which chain took off. So none of that really transpired, and now we're seeing a flow back into alts. So this level here, I think, might be a point where we may see a little bit of a pause. There is a lot of volume here, so it may just chew on this level and then bust higher. So this level here is roughly 4,800 Satoshi, and then the next level I would be looking at, and that's strictly just a spot where we may move up into this level and pull back to this 6,030 level, because we have a double top here. If we break through this, and you also notice too, guys, we have volume. There's a volume ledge around here at this 10 level, so we could probably see, realistically expect to see a move. We could eat through these two zones if the momentum is strong enough, eat through these two zones and ultimately get up here to this 10 level plus, and then we could look for maybe a rest and then a pullback. But everybody gets super excited and think there's no stopping to these things, but they do exhaust out and will consolidate for a bit, and we'll look at that in Litecoin in a little bit. But I just wanted to point out these levels to you to look for. So I think this one might provide some pause. This 40, basically just under 5,000 Satoshi, and then you're gonna have another level to bust through. A key level would be about 8,100 Satoshi. But keep in mind, in this area here, there's not a lot of volume. It's what I call a volume void in here, so it's quite possibly could move up past that and then kind of consolidate in here for a little bit and then press higher into this zone. So those are some thoughts on Ripple and the price action, what I see. But coming back to the hourly, this is a parabolic curve for the hourly, and we are moving up against that, and we are in this zone that I talked about previously where there was a lot of hype around this zone. So don't be surprised if this does pull back into this area. Other things I would look for, guys, is on Ripple, these areas here where it broke out. You see these little volume ledges. So those could be, I look for those. I look to see what happens around price action in there. And a lot of times what you'll see is a bounce off those levels. But you see that there's pretty pretty regular, pretty orderly step up here on these. So, this level and right now this level. So the only thing that bothers me here is that we're getting somewhat of a bearish divergence here, which means this isn't making new highs, but this is making new highs. It's going up like that. Okay, so that correlation on this RSI indicator, that's bearish. But to counteract that, you are still seeing volume. So interesting that the technicals aren't blatantly saying this is going to pull back right away. We'd probably pull back and probably hit this trend line. But if that trend line does break down, then I'm looking at this level here, guys, in this zone here, somewhere in the 3,000 to 4,000 Satoshi range. Okay, so that's basically what we're looking at for Ripple. Now let's look at some other charts. Bitcoin consolidating, just consolidating, and typically when Bitcoin consolidates, it moves higher. And right now we've been in a kind of an up consolidate mode. You can see that on a smaller time frame where this goes up, consolidates up, and a larger time frame would be coming up and then consolidating and then breaking out of that. So if this trend line, we break out of this trend line and we start hitting higher, to me that's going to be a sign that we probably it's time to start making a run toward that 20,000, that all-time high. We do have the futures coming out on Sunday, the CBOE, or the CME futures, and those are a much larger market than CBOE. So we'll see what happens. I am seeing a lot more supply on the depth chart, and I'm not sure if that is bigger players starting to step in and trying to stabilize price. But this was way out of whack as far as buyers and sellers. Now this looks a little bit more normalized. So price has calmed down quite a bit. I will say that there's been a difference in that regard. and so we'll see how that plays out. It would take a lot of, basically what that means is we got to see a lot more buying come into the space. The other part is maybe GDAX decided to get more supply on the books, and so now they're better. They can balance it better. The other thing could be too is that GDAX also has like anywhere from a $400 to $500 premium on other exchanges. So what people might do is, instead of listing their coins on one exchange, they're going to go over and put it on GDAX and capture that $500 premium. So that might be why things are balancing out. Typically, we call that arbitrage, and so when there's a price imbalance between exchanges, over time that kind of levels out. So we'll see, but interesting that this has happened when the futures have been announced last week. So that just could be the exchange just getting more supply on the exchange itself to help balance out the volatility. As far as Litecoin goes, this was ripping up, and everybody was really ecstatic about it and wanted to see higher highs. Currently, what's in play? This was a bull flag. Bull flag is just a formation when you run up and you kind of consolidate down like this. And then what you're looking for is a break of that, and you move back up, and that would put these fib targets in range all the way up to 500. But you have to keep in mind with Litecoin, it does tend to pop and then kind of drift lower, like we saw over here. It's really not uncommon for Litecoin. That was one thing I said I wanted to see if that was going to change. For me, the change would have been breaking out of this and moving higher. Then we would have started another wave. But we're starting to leak lower. So as far as this goes, I think bulls are fine. The level I would be worried about is if we broke this like 220 level. I think then we go back to where we have all this volume support here, and that to me would indicate that we might see 150 to $175 is possible at that point. But we'll have to see how that plays out. Right now for the bears are in control at that level there. Let's put a red on this. So bears are in control below 357. We start popping, you get a technical move back above 357. Boom, I'm looking for these upside targets to come back into play. All right, so that's about it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Just wanted to throw a Ripple out there because it was moving, and kind of give you a quick look at Bitcoin and Litecoin. And that's it for now. So we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Please hit subscribe if this information is helpful, and it helps us keep these videos coming. All right, till the next time. Take care. Bye.